Qualified early childhood relief teachers could be paid the minimum wage, with the government dropping the requirement they receive a higher rate. Some in the sector are welcoming the change, but others fear it'll lead to a drop in the quality of preschool education. Kate Nicholl-Williams explains.
Teachers for our littlest learners are in hot demand. Now the government hopes lowering the bill for relievers will...
So teachers are in hot demand. So what we'll do as a government is, rather than doing a drive on getting people to university and training more of them, we'll just make it so you can be less qualified to be one of them. That's their result.
Give centres more money to hire permanent staff.
Great to see that the government's trying to help us and get rid of some of this silliness that we have to operate with.
Most centres pay qualified relievers higher pay parity rates, from around $27.50 to $46.50 per hour. But come October, they won't have to anymore.
We're shocked that this has happened, because ECE relief teachers deserve to have pay parity with their colleagues who are working full-time.
At the same time, centres also won't have to try find a qualified teacher before hiring an unqualified reliever.
So I correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but my understanding right now, too, is you can have an unqualified teacher, but you need to go on a hunt for a qualified first, and then you can only fill the position if you can't find that. What they're saying is, from now on, don't worry about searching for the qualified teacher. You can go straight to the unqualified ones.
Sparking concern the reliever pool will shrink.
These experienced teachers who have gone relieving will just throw up their arms and say, right, I'm off to Australia.
She says centres might reduce their permanent staff level and hire more relievers to save money.
If we don't have a stable, highly qualified workforce, what kind of quality are we giving to these children, who are often in centres, for 8-10 hours a day?
I'd be very, very surprised that centres would do that deliberately just to save costs.
So the person you just saw there, we'll come back and talk about who she is. But she's basically saying, I'd be very, very surprised if early childhood education centres put profits over the children, as she is the spokesperson for the for-profit early childhood education sector. But she thinks it'd be very surprising if anyone in the early childhood education, and I shouldn't use the word profits, but I am, put profits ahead of the education of the children. We'll come back to more of that.
Deliberately just to save costs.
The Associate Education Minister says the changes won't affect the quality of education. In a statement, David Seymour says no centre can rely on relievers to take the place of permanent staff. He says the changes make it easier to support a centre's permanent workforce. Some calling for relief staff to be looked after, while stretched centres celebrate. Kate Nicholl-Williams, One News.
Okay, let's just have a bit of a look here, shall we? Let's go have a look at old mate. Right, Michelle Bosch. Now we are going to be careful with our language here, and we're not going to draw conclusions, but we are going to read out some truths that are online about who these people are and who they represent. So, Early Childhood Council President sounds like a child-centric group of people who are just wanting to educate our children. So, who indeed are they? That's them there. Early Childhood Council. Yeah, same one. Is that right? Early Childhood Council. Yep, and she is indeed the president. I think we can go to the about, and we've got people, our people or something. There we go. There she is there, president, right there. So who are they? Who are the Early Childhood Council? Well, a Stuff article from Watago says this. Government subsidies tied to providing 20 hours healthcare ECE for 3 to 5-year-olds were initially designed for not-for-profit providers, such as community-run centres and kindergartens. But lobbying from the Early Childhood Council and the for-profit sector meant a last-minute change by the Education Minister, Steve Mahari, to include them. Providers quickly found loopholes to charge parents for these anyways, such as requiring minimum enrollments above the funded hours and charging exorbitant prices for these. Since it was introduced in 2007, parent fees have risen by 50%. However, not-for-profit centres charge little or minimum fees. So making this clear, they're talking about this loophole is for the private for-profit providers, the ones that are represented by the Early Childhood Council, right? Not-for-profit centres charge little or minimum fees, and over time, a shortage of government funding. It was frozen for 10 years and then increased minimally, but has not caught up with inflation, has made it difficult for them to survive. So the not-for-profits are struggling to survive in this article. And this article is, you can see it's extensive. Look how massive it is. But it's from 2023, and it's called The Juggernaut, How Childcare Became a For-Profit Business. And we know all about this. There you go. Best Smart got given $242 million in that particular year. So that's who they are. All right. Now, I also want to probably say, actually, we'll go back, because that was one of the people who spoke, Michelle Bosch, and she was pretty happy with the result. Should we listen back to what she said? Let's listen back to what she said. She was
great to see that.
She was pretty happy with the decision by the government to be able to pay people less and have less qualified teachers in the classrooms. Let's have a listen to what she said again, just for clarity.
Staff. Great to see that the government's trying to help us and get rid of some of this silliness that we have to operate with.
So that's what she said. Now there was the relief teachers were in there as well. We're going to leave them alone because they pretty much are what they are. The other people to speak were these people, the Office of Early Childhood Education, and they weren't that happy about this. Who are the Office of Early Childhood Education? Well, here they are. The ECE is the lead public advisor on early childhood education and care, representing the early childhood sector in New Zealand, Aotearoa. Our purpose is to support the provision and use of ECE alongside promoting safe and better quality ECE for children and their families and whānau. We place the interests of children and their parents, family and whānau in early childhood education at the centre of our work. Our work includes driving high quality ECE provision. And if you go and have a look at what they're about, values and positions, number one on their values and positional issues is Te Tiriti o Waitangi Indigenous rights, rights of children, the group size ratios, qualified early childhood trained teachers is one of their values and positions, which is now being stripped away by this government for relievers. Children's right to attend high quality, involving parents, men in ECE teaching is one of their things. So they look like they're coming from a place that is really just focused on the children first, everything else second. And you'd have to say, I would think, Chewy, if you were the spokesperson for a for-profit series for early childhood education, then you have a fiduciary responsibility to return a profit to your investors. So the money comes first.